Welcome back, everybody. We're back, and before we start, we forgot to tell you who we are. We just a couple weirdos making a podcast here. But I'm James,
I'm
and
Mike.
he's Mike, and we're just two guys talking shit on a podcast. And
Yep. Couple of
yeah,
friends of video games.
yeah, we're just talking about things and see where that gets us. But yeah, why not? But listen, if you hear anything in the podcast that you don't agree with. Well, hell, we
Let us
probably
know in
don't
the
agree.
in the
Yeah,
comments.
we probably don't even agree with it anyway. Okay, but
Yeah.
if you think of something that you want to us to talk about, then you know comment below and we'll try and include it in one of the podcasts. But let's get back to where we were before we left there. So you were talking about medical bills, right? Now,
Yeah. Medical bills.
I just think that is insane that you guys pay for medical treatment. I mean, we kind of do, I suppose. Like we pay excuse me, what's called like a national insurance. Um
So basically like a tax.
yeah, kind of more or less. Yeah, kind of like a tax, like it comes off your wages as a deductible before you even like get your wages. Um but then again, we're not like we don't have to pay every time we see the doctor. We don't have to pay for an ambulance call out. We don't have to pay for medication. We can pay for medication. Like we can, like if we go to a
But what
pharmacist, we can buy stuff like at the pharmacist. But most of the time, it's part of your NHS as we
but
call it
how
here.
how is the medical over there? Like how is it though? Like don't you have waiting lists and stuff like that though?
I mean, it depends on which part of the country you're at and the area that you live in and the hospital you're going to. Um, if you're more England, doing down south, you're from what the news gathers, there's a waiting list and whatever else. But again, it depends on your procedure. It depends on what you're going in for. I mean, typically, if you're going into A&E, you're going to get seen within a couple hours, depending again on what your emergency is. Like if you're going in there and you got a nasty gash, chances are you're not getting seen for a while. They'll bandage it up and sit you down for a long time. Um, if you're coming in the back of an ambulance and it's a serious one, obviously you go straight in. You don't have to wait there. Um, but again, if you come in an ambulance and they determine you're not so serious, you're going to sit down. And you got to wait your turn, and you can be there for hours. I think I had a guy who went in and broke his finger. I think it was, um, and he was like 4 hours before he even got seen because
Damn.
it wasn't a priority as
Life
such.
threatening.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what would be the taxes yearly that you would say you would pay on medical over there? Because yeah, when in America, in the States here, every time you go to the hospital, you're getting a bill that's equivalent of what your mortgage would be on a house or a brand new car, depending on the car, of course, because it could be upward to almost like $100,000
I mean,
per visit. And that's not including, an ambulance expense, or the medicine. That's just the doctor itself seeing you. That's if you're getting a cast, that's extra expense. If you get an MRI, that's extra expense. If you're getting a needle, that's an extra expense. Then,
yes, we're
so
we're we're nowhere near that. So just looking at like it depends how much you make and stuff like that. But so just looking having a quick search online there. So from 242 pounds to 967 pounds a week, um, roughly about 1,000 to 4,000 pounds a month, you're paying 12% national insurance. So 12% of that wage is going to go towards your national insurance. So
I got you. So
that's
if you're
not too
poor
bad.
though, and you're not making income or anything like that, what happens to them?
So you still have access to the care system. Like the NHS, you still have access to that.
Okay.
It's not like you
So they're not like
yeah,
but
it's
they're just have a longer wait though, right? Like
no. No, no,
They're
they're just
just
treated
being
like there's no checks when you go to the hospital to say, okay, do you have your national insurance card or um, do you have identity or anything like that? They don't ask you none of that when you go to a hospital.
dang, that's good. Cause yeah, in the States, you could be on your deathbed, you could be dying to be like, wait a minute, before you pass, you got insurance?"
Yeah, but yeah,
Before you die, I'm gonna need your insurance card before, we finish this transaction, I gotta make sure I get paid,
but the
I
thing
don't
is,
care you got 9 bullets in you.
I thought I thought that in the U.S., even though you like say you didn't have someone comes in with a medical emergency and they don't have insurance, that they still have to treat you by law.
Yeah, they do. The Hippocratic Oath. All hospitals and doctors are sworn to
Right.
that they can't turn away anybody regardless of race, gender, or if they're rich or poor. But if you go to a hospital, you will it doesn't matter that about it. It says it plastered on the wall. It doesn't matter because, where you live, anybody in the States knows this. If you go to that's why a lot of people in the States don't go to the hospital. I don't go to the hospital. I don't go to the doctor. If I'm sick, I wing it out, because the medical bills and everything in it is just ridiculous. And there is, whether people want to say it or not, in the States there is a bias, I do believe, because if you're low income, I've noticed, I've went to hospitals, I have a kid, and I've noticed, I would see people who are less fortunate, who would be in the medical room, waiting room, and I would see somebody come in with fucking a nice tuxedo and be taken right to the vet. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've witnessed it. There is a bias on how much income you got. If you got it's money talks in the States, and that's the way everything is here. And it's kind of messed up because if you don't have the money, um then you can't do shit. Basically, money does talk here in the States, and everything revolves around it. The greed of the U.S. Is a big thing. I would say, because there's biases, even with law enforcement. There's big biases there, depending on your status and how wealthy you are.
Yeah.
uh, there you can go to get a simple speeding ticket or a parking violation, um and depending on who you are, you're going to either pay a fine, or if you're well known or financially stable, you're just going to walk, slap on the wrist, not even whatever, you got them connections. And that's kind of,
Yeah. I think
in a
that
way,
I
poisoned society to what it is today. I think too. That's what led to a lot of the mistrust that's going on. I do believe that that played a factor.
I think that kind of things not only in the US, but it's kind of spread throughout Europe, United Kingdom, um, and probably the rest of the world. I'd say that the the people that are up top, you know, I think at one point they had good intentions, but along those lines, they had to look out for their best interest in order to stay where they are. If
Yes.
if they start looking at everybody else's interest, then they lose their position, which they don't want to do. They live in a comfortable life. I get it, fine, but
Doing that cushy pillow.
yeah, exactly.
They got
But
that nice soft seat. They're high up. But it's also drove a lot of divide to people looking down on people. And you see that, like, you
yeah,
know,
I mean,
in the world a
I'm
lot.
in a mind frame that it don't matter if you're rich, you're poor, you're black, you're white, you're Chinese, you're Japanese. For me, there's only one race, and that's the human race. That's it. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what you talk like. I don't care if you have money. I just don't care. Like, if you're cool, I'm cool. If you're a dick, I'm not interested. That's
Yeah, yeah,
you.
agreed.
I don't care. If it doesn't matter. Again, you can be rich, and if you're cool, I'm cool. But if you're a dick, not interested. I don't care how much money you have. There's no reason to be a dick to people at all.
Well, yeah, it's like, why cover someone else's being rich? I mean, it's like, "Oh, I'm rich." Yeah, most people like that are wealthy off, they are like to rub that and flaunt that. Some of I know, someone who was what better off than most, and they were actually pretty cool. I didn't even know they were rich until, they said it, and,
Yeah, I think people
at
that
first I
are,
didn't believe them.
I think if people have money, like a lot of money, and they came from not nothing, but just a regular people. I think if they came from regular people and then got rich, then I think usually they're okay. Um, but if you are,
Because they know how it is.
yeah, that's it. But if you came from a rich family, um, and then you're rich now, like you're more than
You don't
likely
know
going
the
to be a
struggle.
dick. Yeah, I mean it's not
Yeah.
even a struggle. I mean,
Well,
I think if people like everybody says, oh, there's no jobs, there's this, there's that. I mean, in the UK at the minute, people are crying out for workers. Like they can't get enough workers. And now, excuse me, I think the main reason for that is because they don't pay enough. Now, my theory on that is that during the COVID pandemic, that's a whole different rabbit hole. But during the pandemic, everybody was at home, and I think a lot of people woke up with a little self worth, right? So after the pandemic, people had to go back to work, and they're like, "Wait a minute, I'm going to work, and I'm going to work for £8 an hour or $8 an hour." Like, no, you want me to do this job? I want at least ten bucks an hour. So, you know,
yeah,
I think if you're working, you should not go to work to pay bills, right? Like, if you go to work all month and you only have enough to pay your bills, what is the point? What is the point? Like,
exactly. Because I feel you on that one. That is true. Like, what's the point? You're paying to live, and if you're not
that's
living
it.
comfortably and you're miserable and you hate where you live, but that's all you can afford because that's all you make. And let's say you live in this shitty ass apartment and it's a one bedroom and it's you got fucking neighbors that are banging and loud and noisy. It's just a shithole. But that's all you could afford because that's all this did the your job is paying you to afford. There's no room for you to get bumped up so you can get out of that situation. So you feel like, well, I'm going to work at a job that's shit. I live in a place that is shit, and all my money goes to shit.
Yeah, I feel
My
like
life shit.
I feel like some people think that you need to have these crazy qualifications to go get a good job and be paid well. That's not necessarily the
Exact
case. Like
No.
every job that you take, you're
Eh,
gonna learn. Like I don't know what it's like in the U.S., but I would imagine that again telecoms that's going to be a
well,
good industry to get into right now. Construction. I mean, we're never going to stop needing houses. I mean, over here that kind of stuff's going to earn you maybe up to £1,000 a week. That's £50,000 a year. That's a lot of money.
yeah.
That's a good wage
Yes.
to live comfortably with. And if you're not somebody that likes to do that stuff, hell, get on a plane and go abroad and live abroad, and go.
A plane ticket's not as expensive as everybody thinks.
Yeah, that's
So
that's that's something that's something I learned. I learned, in the last couple of years. Like,
that's always an option.
I was thinking, like, I went on my first holiday last year. We went to Crete, which is a Greek island. We're going
You
again
lucky.
this year.
How
Um,
dare you? How
I
dare
know,
you
I
put that in
know.
my face like that?
We're going again in a couple weeks. Um,
You gonna pick me up?
oh my hell, no, fuck that. Um, but yeah, we're like, it cost us. I mean, we got a good deal to be fair, but if you look, there's deals there. What would we pay? So it was like 800 like £10 for two people for 14 nights, and that was flights and hotels. Like that's,
Now, there's not a lot of people who can afford that though.
but yeah, but
Yeah,
you pay it.
I gotta
Yeah,
say.
but you pay it up, right? Now I'm not gonna like look if you're sitting there in the house, you have no money. but you're earning money. Okay, where is your money going? Like I said, if you're working, let's say just like for argument's sake, right? You earn $1,000 a month, right? And your rent is 700 bucks a month, right? That's not gonna work. You got to go and expand your income, right? And
Yep.
a lot of people put themselves down and be like, okay, I gotta work in this
Well,
place.
that's
I don't wanna
in the
say
States.
a certain industry, right? Because people that work in the
Yeah.
industry might put themselves down, like a low paying job, like just say for instance a waiter in a low establishment, right? In the higher establishments, you probably get a lot more money, but in the lower establishments or like a cafe or something like that, you're not gonna get a lot of money. Um,
Unless you get tips. In the States, you get
yeah,
tips.
yeah,
And one of the things with waiters in the States is, the tips, count for most of their income, and that's
yeah,
kinda messed up. I think that shouldn't be, But, in the States, to what you're saying, that everybody's self-worth, does matter, and everybody's important, and everybody has value. That's 100% true. Um, and nobody should feel low or less of themselves just because they're taught in society. And this is one of the things in the States is basically you are taught in this society growing up that if you don't have this or that, then you're never going to make it. In the States, like college and universities, now me being more mature and grown up, I can actually see that if you go to the college and you get this degree, it don't mean shit. It really don't, because you can
no,
go and get the degree for what you want and what you dream to hopefully have, but you can, it's up to the company to hire you. It's up to them to say, okay, yeah, we want this person. 9 times out of 10, not everybody's going to get for that position that their degree
yeah,
that they have is for. Um, so yeah, and also a lot of the things that's going on today with education, it's kind of dumbing down society, in my opinion. You have uh certain things not being teach because it's offensive, and you have certain things of history trying to be eradicated, as well as if you do go to a university nowadays, a lot of the universities, they're not really educating people. They're dumbing them down because
yeah.
everybody wants to be political. And that's bad when society becomes political, because then you set biases. And when you set biases, you set a divide, and you're dividing each other based on your own bias of your political status, and that's a downfall for society. That's destruction, in the making. That's basically the fall of, like, Rome. I'm not saying Rome, that's how it fell, but it will be the downfall of the states, if that continues to be taught, if the education system continues to be, a going the biased direction that it's going, and teaching and continuing to drive that wedge deeper and deeper. I think what we need is to come together and have understandings and have debates and have, the discussions that everybody nowadays is too afraid to talk about, because the cancel culture, as you said earlier, is out of hand, and and that's society, is own fault for giving that much power to the cancel culture.
Well, I think
They gave that power.
they definitely got to up the education, especially with China being right up your ass, right? I mean, China is shit. China is China, right? And it has a huge income. I mean, everybody goes to China to make something, right? And
Well, yeah, yeah.
nothing's not nothing, but a lot of stuff is not made in the U.S. anymore. It's not made in the UK. It's not made in
No,
Europe.
barely anything is.
Um,
I mean, you pick up a soda can and you read on the bottom of that can, the can's gonna be made in China. It may be, shipped or filled with whatever you're drinking in it, but well, the can is just China.
yeah,
Yeah, everything you have in your house, probably about 99% in everybody's household of whatever they have is gonna have made in China.
and not only that, I
But
mean, a
that's
lot of like when you see a Chinese student or something like that, they're usually pretty, intelligent. Like,
educated, yeah.
yeah. I mean,
They're
the
educate
only thing they're book smart, right? They're not
yeah.
street smart. Now, if let's say we were go to you know to that stage street
I
part.
wouldn't say much. I think there are some that they're street smart as well. I think I believe, the Chinese are intelligent, very, very highly intelligent, and that's just because their education system and the way they have it, like I would say Japan's education system is number 1. It's the more superior in any form because you have to look at it. They go to school, right? And they get their breaks. They get, because if you're a child, you got to understand when you're a child, you have a child mind. You're still developing, you're still learning, but you also have you want to do this, you want to do that, you get distracted very easily. And the way Japan does it is they have they allow naps, and they
That
allow
sounds
breaks and stuff like that.
absolutely amazing. I want to go for a nap during school.
I mean, but if you look at the way they are and how intelligent and smart, and after they're done with school they come out and they're like freaking they're like
Yeah,
freaking
I think that
Einsteins.
has a lot to do with like tradition and stuff though. Like if
Yeah, Japanese culture's
yeah,
tradition is superior, and
if I come home and I failed a grade, like my parents are like, okay, well, you're just gonna work at McDonald's for the rest of your life. But you come home from like in Japan and be like, oh, I failed the grade. You get an ass beaten. So
yeah.
you know,
Well, that's China too. You ever seen that YouTube channel, Stephen He?
no,
That is he's funny. He's Chinese, and he talks about he makes fun of the way he grew up and basically his Chinese culture and the way it would be growing up and getting an F. It's a hilarious. I'll drop a link to his channel on here for everybody who wants to check that out. But yeah, it's true what you're saying, in our societies, you know, it's like, and that's another thing that probably puts everybody's self-worth is lowers their self-esteem. It's like, "Oh, I got this bad grade. I'm gonna work at, flipping burgers for the rest of my
yeah,
life."
it
That's
don't.
because that's
It
all.
does not matter the grade that you have. Like you can learn. A,
No.
a company will employ experience, right? Rather than
Yep.
somebody who walks in with all the grades. Like all the grades do is show that you can be easily trained, right? Um, but if you have the experience, you're already trained. Like, and if you don't have the experience, go do it. Like, if you're young enough and you're
Yeah,
still with your parents, go find a company like an electrician. Like that that's a good skill to have. Not only because you can do your own house, right? But you can make so much money for doing that stuff. We got joinery, like plumbing and heating. That kind of stuff is going to make you a fortune. That stuff is not going
yeah,
anywhere
and
anytime soon.
that's also an easy business to get into, plumbing
Yeah, I mean,
and
not only that,
construction.
like you're gonna have friends in
You
the
just get a
trades. Like you
Yep.
when you
All you need is a contractor license for that in the States, and you can start your own business contracting for like plumbing or for construction and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you need a friend.
yeah. Look, you'll get a friend.
You,
You'll have friends that are in the same trade, and like one might be an electrician, you might be a plumber, one might be a paint decorator. Um, so not only is it gonna make you money in life, it's gonna save you money because you be like, hey, Jimmy, I need my house rewired. I tell you what, you scratch my back, I'm gonna scratch your back. Come on, let's do this. You got your house rewired for free, or you may have paid like supplies. You pay for the supplies, and you give him something for his time.
sounds like
You you're
you have
definitely
experience here.
well, but you're not gonna pay the full price for it, right? Get yourself
Yep.
a trade, whether you stick to that trade or you know you do the trade and it's not for
Have
you.
multiple trades.
Yeah, if the trade's not for you, the trade's not for you, but at least you have it. And when you own your own house or you rent your own house and you're like, you know what? I want to put a new plug socket in there, or I want to make a nice feature wall. You already know how to do it, and you're going to be confident to do it. You're going to pay thousands of dollars or thousands of pounds for someone to come in and do it for you.
Yep.
Got to get a
That
trade.
that's true. That yes, trades. Yeah. Also, if you have a trade on something, like there are places in the States you can get a trade for whatever you're trying to do. For business wise or whatever field of work you wanna do. They have trades here where they're teaching, and there's a lot of people that will just, back in the day, I don't know still about today, but back in the day, people would be like, they drop out of school, get a GED, and then take a trade and get into that trade. And I'm not sure if that's still today a thing or not, but I think it is. And that's more a company, if you had, like he said, is if you have the experience and the know-how of doing something versus numbers on a piece of paper, you know, you're most likely going to get hired for having more experience and you'll be more qualified than that person who has a bunch of numbers on a piece of paper.
Yep.
Uh, and that is fact.
I mean, not only that, I mean, like if you got someone
Yep,
that's book smart, right? You having a trade or something like you can earn more money than they do once they at their dream
yep,
job. Do you know what I mean? Like most of them go to university. They have I mean in Scotland you have free education, so you don't pay for university and stuff. But in England, um, you have to pay for university. You're talking like 20, 30,000 pounds worth of debt, um, which you don't have to pay back till you earn over a certain amount. But you still have that huge weight over your
and
shoulders.
that's what
So,
happens now.
I mean, a 30,000 pounds is you're talking what 5, 600 pounds a month to pay that off in five
Yeah, it's
years.
better to get a trade.
That's a lot of money for 5 years. And yet, like you go to university. How long do you go to university for? I mean, if you're going to university, you're probably ought to be in
Yep,
college, right? So you're probably looking to go to university about 21 or something, maybe. Then you're in university for
4 or 5,
what, four or
well,
five
depending on
years?
the field,
So you're
you're
25.
getting you can be in there.
Yeah, depending on yeah, you
Yep,
might even be longer. You might even be there longer. But then you're looking at another 5 years maybe to pay your debt off. So that takes you to 30 years old. You're 30 years old and you've only just paid your
you
debt
don't
off.
own
You've only
nothing,
just
you don't
settled
own a
in your
house, you don't
job.
own, the
You
bank
don't
bank owns everything. You don't
no,
own shit. Unless you bought it out with cash that you had somewhere else,
that's it.
didn't pay that student loan.
I mean, even then, if you go to a job, you earn 45,000 a year. In the UK, you're getting taxed
Now
forty
now
percent on that. I think it's over like 42, 43,000 pounds. You're getting 40%
for
tax on
for
that.
society to believe that, they need this what makes you what do you think is the reason why society believes that they need to have these special degrees in these places and stuff like what do you think's the driving force for that? I mean, because in reality, like we discussed, you could get a trade and you'll get hired with more experience than someone with the numbers on a piece of paper. Um,
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's from a young age you're taught, do well in school, have a good day. Did you learn something today? Um, and then you get like a monthly report or a yearly report on your grades. And then you'll sit down with your parents like, oh, come on, you can do better. Or, depending on your culture, you'd be like, if you don't do this, I'm gonna fuck you up. You know what I'm saying? But either way, you're still like you're still brought to do well at school and all these things, and then it's like I don't know. I don't know what the pressure is, but this if you I mean look at some of the brightest people in the world, like they dropped out of college. I think Elon Musk dropped out of college, but
well,
look at him now. He's like
there's a
one of the
lot
richest
of
people in the world.
celebrities who've dropped out of, college and dropped out of high school, and look how
Yep.
successful they are. It just
Yep.
shows you that, hey, you don't need this degree to make something out of you. It's all depending how confident and you are in yourself and what you feel that your self-value is worth. If you go in with your mindset that you feel like you're worth 50 cents, then you're gonna, get 50 cents. But if you feel that your self-worth value is worth more, then you're gonna go for something that's gonna pay you more. You're gonna go after
I think
the bigger fish.
yeah, I think people need to yeah. That's it. I think people gotta have that self-worth. Like they gotta have that drive. They gotta have that get up and go. Like I'm not talking be a fitness freak. Like you don't gotta get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go out for a run, do the weights, and I mean it's gonna help you. It's gonna help your mental health
Yeah.
doing that, right? But you should still get up at a decent time. Now I get up maybe half 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, not too early. not too late. But at that time, I could still seize the day. Um, get up, go to work. Um, do your stuff. The main thing for me anyway is you gotta have your house life in order, right? You want to succeed and not so much succeed, but feel a little happier in life and help you get a direction. You gotta sort out your home life, right? Whether it's your relationship, whether your house is just maybe cluttered with stuff, like
Feng shui,
you
you know?
gotta
It's
sort.
it's
Yeah, you
feng
gotta.
shui your
Yeah,
life.
you gotta sort your home life out.
But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that is a good point. That's a
That's all
good
I got on
point.
that.
But yeah, it's and also like have your own opinion as well, I would say, because don't always follow everyone else's opinion and their thoughts. Like, be unique, be yourself. Each individual is worth more than what society wants to tell you your value is worth. Because you look at society, you look at someone who's famous, who's rich, you think that they're better than you. Well, in reality, they can be putting on this facade, which most likely, most of the times that's what's going on is a facade. You're worth more than what you really know you're worth. Every individual is worth a lot, and you just need that confidence and say, yes, I am. I am worth as much as Johnny Depp, in value. I'm worth as much as Tom Hardy. uh, but you just have to have
Yeah,
that in your mind, and don't let the what is allegedly the society norm weigh you down. If you have your life in order and you set yourself to achieve certain things, you achieve it. Um, I do believe that is true. That's 100%.
I think the way to look at it is like, if he can do it, why can't I?
Exactly, exactly.
Like, uh, I didn't
Look
have
at Mr. Beast.
a great growing up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, look at Mr. Beast. That man. I mean, I don't think he came from money as such. Like
I
he
don't think so
wasn't
either.
worse off. Like he wasn't like poor, poor, but he wasn't rich, rich either. I don't think.
He had
But
multiple failed YouTube channels,
that man
but he was determined. He was determined. Yes.
did he?
Yeah, he had a couple channels that
Wow.
flopped before he became who he is. And he himself, he said that once as well. He's like, because he started off talking in he using his phone camera, and he gradually, as he got better and better. Now look at him now, dude's got back what, a studio equipment, like movie style cameras. Like shit, he could shoot a feature film if he wanted to. But yeah, someone like him who practically came from nothing, and he was determined. And that's what you need in today's society. You need to know that you're worth more than what the society's norms tell you or what anybody else tells you. You need to know that you're worth more than that, and you need the determination to pull yourself out of the mud. Now, we are a new podcast, NXT here, and right now I don't know how many views or how many of you are going to hear this channel, but I'll tell you what, we are determined to make something from this. So maybe one day in the future, whoever's hearing this, you're going to hear this and be like, "Damn, they made it. They started at nothing, and here they are." So take that advice, But everybody's worth is
But
has
that's it.
value, and it's worth something. And
So if you can take anything away from this podcast, because we've kept you now for over an hour. I mean, that's not bad for a first podcast, right? So if you guys can take anything away from this podcast, it's be yourself. And if he can do it, why can't
yeah,
I? If the guy next door to you is making good money, he has nice cars, he has a nice house, ask him, what is it you do? Because you can always learn from people. Ask him, what is it you do? And he's like, oh, I'm a carpenter. Okay, well, how the hell do I get into
yep,
that? There's a lot of jobs out there that make good money, but you won't really know about them unless you're referred to them. Um, and those are usually the kind of jobs that really good money. Like if you're searching a job online, um and on like a, I don't know what, like a job website, something like that. Those are the kind of jobs that probably won't make you a lot of money.
Yeah,
Those
don't
are like
don't
the
don't go
mainstream
on
jobs.
Craigslist looking for a job. Uh,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
have the, mindset and the determination. If you have determination and the mindset, and you know that you're not gonna let, the fact that society, what they preach to you your whole life, weigh you down, is basically it. Go in there, go and take what he said out of this. If anything from this podcast, take that and know your worth. Know that you are worth something. You have value, potential value, and you might have your
That's it.
own skill that you're good at, and I would encourage you to show off your skill, no matter what that is. What talents do you have? That can be what makes you who you are, and what drives you to becoming something unique, and that can be your money maker. That could
Um,
be your breadwinner right there, your certain talent.
and if you're on the computer, right? If you have a computer and you have internet, which I presume you probably do if you're listening to this, unless you're listening to it on a phone or something like that. But if you have a computer and you have internet, there is no excuse for you not to learn new stuff. None at all. Like you have Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, all the video editing software, graphics design. Most of this stuff you can get for free or a free trial, something like that. And people will pay good money for you to do work for them. Like there's an extra set of
There you
income
go on
for
5
you to
R.
have, and it's something you can do at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you learn
I
that fiber. Yeah,
taught
it's
myself how to use Adobe.
there's loads of
So
stuff
yeah,
there.
it's easy. It's not
Yep.
easy to learn. I will say, but it is learnable. And I'm still myself learning it. And it's just all about, like we said earlier, a life lesson. Everything in life is a lesson to be learned and something to be taught. So
Every day
yes,
is a
every day is
school
a
day.
school day. We're all in school, whether you know it or not, because we're always learning something.
That's it. That is it. Well, I think that about does it for the first
I
podcast. What
think
do you
that
think?
about does it. I appreciate anybody who watches this. Go ahead and make
Well,
sure you slap a like and subscribe to help out the channel grow, and share it among
that's
your
it.
friends. But yeah,
You gotta subscribe. You gotta ding dong that notification bell so that you can be notified next time we put a podcast up. And I mean, we'll probably put one up every week. Just to try to keep the flow going. Like I said, if there's anything you guys want to hear from us, pop it below, and we'll try and make a conversation out of it. At some point, we want to try and get random people in to have a conversation and find out their views and their ways of thinking.
that would be great.
And we'll take it from there. Yeah. Well, everybody, thank you very much, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day, night, wherever you're from.
Good night.
Good
This has
night.
been Mike and
See you
James
later.
on NXT.